So confirmation of the two semi-finals then. Manchester City beating Bristol City by 5-3 on aggregate. It was 3-2 last night at Ashton Gate. And Arsenal have won by 2-1 against Chelsea tonight. That's the score on aggregate. And so, on February the 25th at Wembley, it will be Manchester City against Arsenal. It's a game, obviously, you'll be able to see live and exclusively here on beIN Sports. We'll get reaction from the Emirates, reaction from the studio to Arsenal's progression through to another League Cup final. Will this be the first year that Arsene Wenger finally lifts this trophy?
Well done tonight, congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks, Dan.
Back for another Wembley final. He only scored 6 goals en route to that final. That's the lowest ever total of any finalist in the League Cup. But they're there. A better second half display, Paul.
Yeah, they did do well in the second half, and I think on the balance of the game, they deserve to go through. Obviously, big fortune in 2 of their goals.
How much?
So I think their overall play was good in the second half. A lot more intensity. They dealt with the tactical side of Chelsea's threats. I also do believe that the effect of Willian going off with the injury in the first half, they didn't play well from that point on. Pedro came off as well. Batshuayi went on, was not really effective. Barkley, you can see, is not match fit at the moment. So, you know, it hurt Chelsea, but Arsenal deservedly in the final.
Yeah, it's sort of strength of character about this Arsenal side. They really wanted that.
Since Sanchez has gone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it?
Isn't it funny though that iconic figure leaves the club, you know, under a bit of a cloud, but the players have really got themselves together and look like a unit and a group and acting like that, and they've got 2 fantastic results. I think the game tonight, the middle of midfield, 3 Arsenal players were really against 2 Chelsea players, and Chelsea weren't effective down the flanks today, and they don't have anybody really to put the ball into when they go down the flanks. Yeah. And I just thought that middle of the park was dominated. El Neni, Xhaka, Wilshere, particularly in the second half, were able to nick the ball. And I thought Mesut Ozil showed some great signs about, you know, what he's capable of, not just in his ability on the ball, but his work rate and endeavour and desire to win.
But he's playing for a contract.
Well, he possibly is, but he put the effort in. You could see that he was trying to set an example for the rest of his teammates, and they followed in the second half. They got their just rewards. 2 lucky goals, really, but hey.
Yeah, well, exactly. We'll see those in a minute. But it was interesting what Jack Wilshere said. To begin with, Arsenal got it wrong tactically, because that's why Chelsea was so dominant. They came out of the blocks all guns blazing.
Yeah, I said this at half time that they had the edge with the tactical side of the game, although it was a bit scrappy the first half. Is that front 3 connecting through the middle and lovely finish from Hazard. You just see the first ball go into Hazard, he just lets it go and then runs through for the through ball of Pedro. So it was a good start for Chelsea, and overall in the first half Chelsea had the edge on the tactical side of the game, but obviously they've alluded to that at half-time, the 2 Arsenal players, that there were some slight changes, and they got much more control of the game in the second half, particularly through central midfield, where they got the 3v2 in there.
How much luck, though, for both goals, Arsenal? As we said at half-time, I'm not sure we'd seen a goal like this. Pinballed off heads.
It was important that Arsenal got themselves back early to the reply. Chelsea scored in the 7th minute. This is in the 12th minute. Montreal has got a free header, and he shouldn't be getting the free header in the first place. Comes off Alonso, comes off Rudiger, and ends up in the back of the net. So a great deal of fortune in it. But both sides started like that. There were no tackles happening. Everybody was standing off each other, and there was freedom on the pitch. But as I said, that was only 5 minutes after Chelsea had taken the lead, and Arsenal were back in all of a sudden. The rest of that half, though, Chelsea just dominated a little bit. No great clear-cut chances, though.
No, not at all. And then you've got to say a huge element of fortune about what turned out to be Arsenal's winner as well.
Yeah, the build-up was good. A switch of play, good forward run from Lacazette, and then he just gets his body in on Christensen, holds the ball up well, and then I think he was trying to play the ball to Iwobi on the edge of the box. Ricochets off the defender's leg, falls really nicely for for Xhaka, and just toes it into the corner.
He reacted quickly, actually.
He did react well to it, didn't he?
Xhaka, because he certainly couldn't have expected the ball to thread its way through to him, you know, with 3 blue shirts in the way, but he was first to react and just poked it into the net. It was a perfect timing, wasn't it, for them?
But when you've got a slightly disruptive figure, which I think Sanchez was at the end, you know, you could tell that that was beginning to unsettle the club. The recent run, you know, ahead of the Palace game, had not been good, and clearly was unsettled. They all, however much you get on with him and however much you appreciate him as a decent player, you just want to move on and shift that sort of distraction away, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, I've been through this as a manager myself, not for as long as this situation, but when there's a transfer saga hanging over the club, it does have an effect on the manager, because he's thinking about, you know, using that player or not using them, how to maybe integrate other players into it, because this player is not going to be there for the long-term future. It also has an effect on the players as well, and I think Arsene Wenger will just be happy that that saga has now come to an end, and he knows pretty much that this is the squad that he's going to take forward. Obviously the window's still open and there is a little bit more business that they're obviously trying to do, but he'll be pleased, and he'll be pleased with the response of the players tonight. And Arsene Wenger, for all the criticism that he gets, he's led the team now to 3 cup finals in 3 years. Obviously they won back-to-back FA Cups, and they're in another final again, so big congratulations to him and Arsenal.
Yeah. Just on the Sanchez thing, when he was there, he was the superstar. Anytime that he took the field, he sort of drew attention. Tonight I felt there was nobody who was looking to be that superstar or wanting more attention than anybody else. It was like everybody is in this together, fight together, work together, win or lose together. And that's a far healthier team picture than it is when you've got even a superstar in there who can bring the rest down. And I think Arsenal have now come through that.
But as you're saying, even Ozil fits in the mould of being a team player then today, without the superstar.
He did tonight. It's like when he's playing for Germany. When he's Germany, he's just one of the lads. But when Sanchez has been around, he's been influenced by Sanchez, because he sees Sanchez wanting to be the kingpin, and Ozil's been attracted into that sort of area. Tonight, he was just one of the lads again, and digging deep and working for the rest of the players. And long that may continue. You said he's playing for a contract. Could be. But as long as he puts that in, as long as he puts that kind of effort in, you know, you can't complain.
It's on the table whenever he wants it. So that's 4 Wembley finals in 5 years for Arsene Wenger. What's going wrong at Arsenal? Gee. So Man City they will play, and we will get more reaction from the Emirates when we come back. And there are plenty of games, there's plenty of football, and just on a general note, do we think it's a good idea, or because it just adds a bit of competition to...
I like the idea.
Yeah?
I didn't actually know that I liked the idea until until I watched the draw today, and then I understood it, and now I know.
Can you tell me what it's all about?
Well, now I know what they're getting at. Yeah, you know, I know what they're getting at. I mean, there's a trophy at the end of it, but
yes.
The trophy's not that significant.
No,
it is the quality of football matches and the competitive edge that will replace the friendly games, which have been a waste of time forever.
And there's actually promotion and relegation from the various leagues, so from A, B, C and D, so you can go up and down. So,
correct.
And you see the San Marinos and the Liechtensteins playing against each other rather than playing Spain and being beaten 9-10-0.
Yeah, well, that has to be better, and that has to be better in terms of getting the teams prepared for the major competitions. I also think that when you see the rankings, you wonder how teams are so high up, but if you're playing against lesser opposition all the time and you organise the friendlies to suit you getting higher up in the rankings, that can't be right. So hopefully we'll get a better picture of where teams are in European and world football.
Well, that is the UEFA Nations League coming to your screens here on beIN Sports in September. Well, we'll have also the final of the Carabao Cup in February, after we have seen over the last 2 nights who's made it there. Arsenal tonight, last night, it was Man beating Bristol City. And the more and more I look at this, the more and more I shout at Thor Magnusson, clear the ball. And he didn't.
He was substituted at half-time as well. Do you think that was
on occasion he has been substituted. They put Joey Bryan left back, and they've but he has been a bit of a liability. So it's a bit of both, I think.
Yeah, well, he made the wrong decision, and obviously Chelsea scored, and then scored the second just after half-time through Aguero. But the late push from Bristol City was fantastic, and this was the last, literally the last kick of the game. De Bruyne gives Man City the victory, but Bristol City I wouldn't say they gave as good as they got. I mean, they should be proud of themselves, and I think Lee Johnson showed himself to be a very capable manager, because he's got that group very well organised, and it wasn't a walkover for Manchester City by any stretch of imagination.
No, it shows there is a way of trying to play football against Manchester City. I mean, ultimately, yes, they've lost twice in both the semi-finals, but they tried to take a game, certainly in the first leg, to Man City.
Yeah, they were brave in their approach. I thought Lee spoke really well after the game, very sensible. Obviously, they've lost a little bit of form in the league, and really they need to turn their attention to that now, because they're going to want to push to get as high up as the table they can, and if it's not going to be through the automatics, which it could be, certainly to establish a good position in the playoffs with a chance of going to the next level. I enjoyed watching them over the two games. It was strange last night because ultimately the score was a 3-2, but it didn't feel like a.
It didn't feel like a one-sided 3-2.
It didn't feel like a 3-2. Yeah. And if that second goal just had come a little bit earlier, maybe we would have seen a push and a little bit more time to get that other goal. But it was a good game.
You might have seen me carry out my promise and run around the pitch. Didn't happen. But Arsenal will play football against Man City, because they won't sit back, will they?
No, and I think Arsenal are going to improve now. Possibly game by game once they get Aubameyang in and Mkhitaryan. Well, maybe Aubameyang, but certainly Mkhitaryan. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, the news on that tonight allegedly is that Borussia Dortmund have turned down a second bid, £50 million, but Aubameyang clearly wants to go.
He wants to go, and I don't think he can keep. You can't. A deal will be done. I'm sure that a deal will be done, because if the player's really making a nuisance of himself, then again, it's like Sanchez was doing, but to a lesser extent at Arsenal, it's not healthy. So I would imagine to see Aubameyang at Arsenal, and I think they will get better, and I think that will build its way, because at the minute Manchester City are clearly the better side. They're a better team than Arsenal, but that gap will be less, I believe, by the time the two meet. And Jack Wilshere, I thought, was very good tonight again, and he's improving. His fitness levels are going up, and things are going well for Arsenal, despite some of the fans being disgruntled by Wenger still being there. But it's another final.
Hey, he has taken them to another final, this Arsenal manager. He ain't bad.
To stay with these players.
Thanks very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Well, Edin Dzeko actually scored the equaliser for Roma tonight against Sampdoria in added time. Potentially his last goal for Roma before a move, along with Palmieri, to Stamford Bridge. That is what is being muted, and that was his farewell to the Roma fans today. Good signing, if it happens?
Yeah, I think if Chelsea have been linked with Andy Carroll and Peter Crouch, and then you've got Dzeko amongst that three, you're going to go for Dzeko every time.
Yeah.
So if they do get him, and if that's what Conte thinks he needs for his squad, Dzeko is as good as any.
One other surprising scoreline from Spain tonight in the Copa del Rey quarter-final. Leganés have beaten Real Madrid by 2-1 on the night. That means it finishes 2-2 on aggregate, and the mid-table La Liga side go through on the away goals rule. Paul, having sat in the dugout at Real Madrid and know full well what Madrid expects, that's a tough one to take.
That's a shock result for sure, particularly with the second leg being back at the Bernabeu. You would have thought that would be a formality, but nothing's a formality in football. So the situation at Real Madrid's not very good at the moment. 19 points behind Barcelona in the league. Gone out in the Copa del Rey to a mid-table team, and also coming up massive game in the Champions League now for them against Paris Saint-Germain.
Big game for Barcelona tomorrow night. You can see on beIN Sports as well. That is the Barcelona derby. With Espanyol are 1-up after the first leg. Could there be an upset? Could there be semi-finals without Real Madrid and without Barcelona as well? We shall see. You can see it tomorrow, 3:14 and 17 as well. My thanks to Paul and to you, Trevor.
Thank you.
We now know the two sides in the Carabao Cup final. Feb the 25th is the date for your diary. The two sides, Arsenal and Manchester City.